Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, May 1st, 2023. NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs look ahead to tonight's games in each sport, including some postmortems for the eliminated teams and a series pick that we didn't do on Friday because then we have that last series. Soccer, baseball, golf, NASCAR, Idol, news and notes, and best bet as well. All right, we'll start the NBA playoffs. We'll go over the results from the weekend and look ahead to tonight's two semifinal games. Heat over the Knicks. Or no, that's Sunday. Friday, Kings over the Warriors, 118-99 to force a Game 7. As Malik Monk had 28 points. Stephen Curry had 29. Lakers over the Grizzlies, 125-85 to close out the Grizz. D'Angelo Russell had 31, and Santi Almada had 16. Saturday, Game 1 of the semis. Nuggets over the Suns, 125-107. Jamal Murray, 34 points and 9 assists. Kevin Durant, 29 points, 14 boards. And then yesterday, Heat over the Knicks, 108-101 in Game 1. Jimmy Butler had 25 points, 11 boards. RJ Barrett had 26 and 7 assists. And Jimmy Butler hurt his ankle in the second half of that game and stayed in the game, and the Heat came out victorious. And then the Warriors defeat the Kings 120-100 to win Game 7 and advance. Stephen Curry had 50 points in the win, and Domantas Sabonis had 22 points and 7 assists. 2 games tonight, 7:30 on TNT. You have the Sixers against the Celtics. Mine for this game is Boston 9.5, total 227 3/10, and that is assuming Joel Embiid's not playing. If Joel Embiid plays, it goes all the way down to 3.5. But I doubt he plays. He's doubtful for the game. The line is 10. The total is 214.5. I love the over. The Celtics offensively were outstanding. I know the Philly defense is better than the Hawks defense, but I still like the over. And the Philly offense, I mean, what if Tyrese Maxey gets hot? What if Tobias Harris gets hot? What if James Harden turns back the clock a little bit? This could go over. And at 10 o'clock on TNT, Suns Nuggets. This game's probably going to be Spiroditas and Grant Hill. Sixers Celtics will probably be Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller. Denver Saber by 4.5, totals 227. I have an 8 and 226 and 9/10. I love Denver. I'm going to lay the points again. And give that out as the pick. So I'm going to lay the 4.5 with Denver in the nightcap of the doubleheader. All right, a couple of mortems here. We'll start with the Grizzlies. Very disappointing ending to what looked to be a very good season early on. John Morant had some off-court issues, which I think were a distraction to the team. They clearly missed Steven Adams and Brandon Clark in the front court. Not saying they would beat the Lakers if those guys were there, but you never know, and it has to be mentioned. Taylor Jenkins, I think, will be back, or at least should be back. I think he did a good job these past 2 seasons. So we'll see what else happens here. I think there's a chance they make a trade for like a small forward, like a Kevin Durant type of player. They'll be in the mix for somebody like Paul George. They'll be in the mix for somebody that could be available. I don't think it's going to be Towns for them. That'd be weird because I think you'd rather have Triple J at this point than Towns if you're the Grizzlies. and he's worth so much more to you than Cat would have been. So we'll see with that. And then if they do make a big trade, they would have to give up potentially Desmond Bain. And I don't know if they would want to do that. And then the other postmortem is the Sacramento Kings. They had an outstanding season. They have a lot to be proud of. Unlike Memphis' season and unlike the Bucks' season, I think the Kings had a successful year. Taking the defending champs to a Game 7, albeit the Kings fell apart in the second half. But you got to be proud if you're the Kings. Like the Grizzlies, you would think that if they made a trade to improve their team, it was going to be the small forward spot. Paul George is a name that kind of jumps out. I think Bradley Beal fits on this Kings team, weirdly enough. I don't know if he would fit well in Memphis, but I could see a world where they could make it work with Bradley Beal to Sacramento. And then they give up not a lot of picks, but maybe like 2 picks, and who knows? I mean, Bradley Beal I don't think is worth as much as he would have been even 4 years ago. So I could see that being a guy that Sacramento chases in a trade. In Memphis, I'd say their season's a failure because they made the semis last year. I know John Morant was hurt in that series. But the way you started the year, you finished top 2 in the West. Then I would have said conference finals would have been a successful year, but they didn't come close to that. All right, and a series pick for you. You have the Warriors and the Lakers. Warriors home court. It's a 6-7 series. A ton of subplots here. Best guy in the series. There's 2 options. It's Stephen Curry and LeBron James, and I'm going to say it's Stephen Curry. He's playing better between the 2 guys right now. He's been the better player, arguably, over the last decade. So, Steph's the pick there. We also have the coaching. I give the edge to Steve Kerr over Darvin Ham. Although Darvin Ham was better than Steve Kerr in the regular season due to the midseason trades and how he got that team to work together. And they did a decent job hanging around the mix when LeBron got hurt. So Darvin Ham had a better season than Steve Kerr. But Steve Kerr's still a better coach than Darvin Ham. It's the same thought as I had with Steve and Mike Brown in the previous series. Biggest storyline, the fact that it's LeBron versus Stephen Curry. We have not seen these 2 teams face off head-to-head in the playoff series since 2018 finals. I believe that was the year they swept the Cavs, if I'm not mistaken. But you could argue this Laker team is better than that Cavs team. And you can make a case that the Warriors now are worse than the Warriors from 18, which I think is pretty accurate, despite the star power. Another subplot is whatever star wins the series, I think is in the driver's seat for best player of the century between LeBron and Curry. So that's another crazy subplot to the series. And potentially the winner of that series could be Not just the best player of the century, but reemerge as the best player in the NBA who has the championship belt because Giannis is out. So Giannis cannot be considered the best player in the NBA right now. Imagine LeBron after all these years reclaiming the belt, which would be wild. And he's shown a capability to do it. And I think he's one of the smartest players in the league. Same with Steph. And Steph just has that charismatic wow factor when he's rolling like he did in Game 7 yesterday. Best matchup? There's a lot of individual position matchups you can go to and say, oh, I like that. But I'm going to do an overreaction from yesterday and say that it's AD against Kevin Looney. Kevin Looney was outstanding in that Game 7 in that series, and he really shut down Domantas Sabonis. I don't know if he could do that to a healthy Anthony Davis. So I'm going to say that's the most intriguing individual player matchup. All right, a series pick. This was the toughest of the four to make. This is obviously a player rivalry. It's going to get a lot of ratings. This is arguably the biggest second-round series in NBA history. And the most anticipated second-round series in NBA history. Because of LeBron and Steph. I think this is destined to go 7 games. And I think the Golden State Warriors will win the series in 7 games. I just think that the Steph factor and their past experience will matter. I know LeBron and Davis have the experience too, but D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, like those guys aren't experienced. And the only team that's proven in the playoffs in both basketball and hockey about experiencing really mattering is the Golden State Warriors. So I'm going to go series correct score, Golden State Warriors 4-3 at plus 350. That is the favorite outcome, and rightfully so. Golden State in 5 is next at plus 380. Then Lakers in 6 at plus 440. And then 5-1 is Golden State 4-2. Lakers in 7 is plus 600. And then it gets wacky. So Golden State in 7 at plus 350 is the pick. All right, now move on to the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll go over the results from the weekend and look ahead to the Game 7 tonight and do a couple of postmortems. Friday, Game 6, Hurricanes over to Islanders, 2-1 in overtime on a game winner by Paul Stastny. Number 3 started game at 39 saves on 41 shots. Ilya Sorokin, number 2 started game with the goal. Sebastian Aho, number 1 started game with the overtime winner, Paul Stastny. Panthers over to Bruins, 7-5. The Force at Game 7. Number 2 started game with 2 goals, David Pastrnak. Number 2 started game with the goal and an assist, E2 Lestraden. And then number 1 started game with 2 goals and an assist, Matthew Tkachuk. Stars over to Wild, 4-1. To close out in 6. The number 3 started game with the goal, Rupitz. Number 2 started game, didn't have a point but played good. Miro Heiskanen, number 1 started game with 23 saves on 24 shots, Jake Ottinger. Avalanche over to Kraken, 4-1 the Force at Game 7. The number 3 started game with 3 assists, 7 saves. Number 2 started game with 35 saves on 36 shots. Philip Grubauer, number 1 started game with the goal and assist, Mikko Rantanen. And then Saturday, Maple Leafs over to Lightning, 2-1 in overtime on a game winner by John Tavares as Leafs win their first playoff series in almost 20 years. The number 3 started game with 20 saves on 22 shots, Andrei Vasilevsky. Number 2 started game with 31 saves on 32 shots, Ilya Samsonov. Number 1 started game with the overtime series clincher, John Tavares. Rangers over the Devils, 5-2 to Force at Game 7. The number 3 started game with the goal and assist, Mika Zibanejad. Number 2 started game with the goal and assist, Vladimir Tarasenko. Number 1 started game with the goal and 2 assists, Chris Kreider. And the Orioles beat the Kings 5-4 to close out the Kings. In 6, number 3 started game with a goal. Philip Deneau, number 2 started game with a goal. Leon Draisaitl, number 1 started the game with the game-winning goal and an assist. Kyler Yamamoto. And then yesterday, Panthers upset the Bruins 4-3 in overtime to win the series in 7 games. This is among one of the biggest upsets you'll ever see in the history of sports. The number 3 started game with a goal and 2 assists. David Krejci, number 2 started game with 2 goals. Brandon Montour, number 1 started game with the game-winning goal and an assist. Carter Verhaeghe. And the Kraken beat the Avalanche 2-1 to move on to the second round as the Stanley Cup champs from last year are eliminated. The number 3 started game with an assist. Nathan McKinnon, number 2 started game with 3 saves on 34 shots. Philip Grubauer, number 2 started game with 2 goals. Oliver Bjorkstrand. All right, tonight we have a big Game 7, a rivalry Game 7 in Newark, 8 o'clock, ESPN, Rangers Devils. It's going to be a great game. I'm feeling it. The Devils are only minus 118. The Rangers are minus 102 over under 5.5. Overs plus 112. Unders minus 138. Rangers plus 1.5 is minus 265. Devils minus 1.5 is plus 215. For this one, oof. I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. The Stanley Cup playoffs have been so unpredictable. You have one of the best teams in NHL history from a regular season standpoint lose. And then you have the reigning Stanley Cup champs lose. And then your Eastern Conference representative in the Stanley Cup final lose. So this playoffs is proving that experience is overrated, unlike the NBA with the Warriors. And the funny thing is that the Warriors were an underdog to Sacramento in Game 7. So I'm going to call them a fake underdog, the Warriors, because they were an underdog, but they really shouldn't have been an underdog. Just like the Kings were a fake favorite. Even in Game 1, you could make a case the Miami Heat were a fake underdog because of no Julius Randle. And the Knicks were a fake favorite because they didn't have Randle. But we'll see how this game plays out to see if that scenario presents itself, since New Jersey's favored in Game 7. And I think a lot of people at gunpoint would pick the Rangers. So for this game, I wouldn't be shocked if there's not a first period goal in the first 10 minutes. So I'm going to go first period goal in first 10 minutes, no, minus 106. I think this game's going to be weird. I really do. I wanted to take the under on the Devils' goals because of Igor Shesterkin's history in Game 7s, but it's only 2 Game 7s, unlike the guy he replaced in Henrik Lundqvist. But at gunpoint, who wins the game, I have no idea. You could argue all signs are pointing to New Jersey from like a how's this playoffs going standpoint. But they're also favored. Unlike the the Panthers and the Kraken. And the Devils probably should be favorites in this game because they're home. They're only 5 points apart in the standings. But home ice hasn't mattered in the playoffs, so that bodes well for the Rangers, who won 2 games on the road in the series. So at gunpoint, who wins? Probably the Rangers, but I don't feel good about it at all. New Jersey can absolutely win this game. Schmid, the goalie, with the exception of Game 6, has been brilliant. But if you're New Jersey, you have to be concerned with the goaltending situation, especially after Schmid turned into a pumpkin in Game 6. So it's going to be interesting. So my pick for the game from a podcast standpoint is first period goal in the first 10 minutes, no, at minus 106. All right, a couple of postmortems we got to do. We'll start in the East, and we'll start with the President's Trophy winning Boston Bruins. A big talking point this week was when Giannis Antetokounmpo said that the Bucs season wasn't a failure. I absolutely killed him on the podcast and said, of course the Bucs season's a failure because you had the best record in the NBA and you lost to a freaking 8 seed. The Bruins just did the same thing. The Bruins just did the exact same thing. And this is an even bigger failure than the Bucs because of all the records they broke in the regular season. Not unless. But Milwaukee, at least, Giannis was hurt for a couple games. But they beat the Heat without Giannis in Game 2. So that really shouldn't be an excuse either. But yeah, the Bruins will go down as one of the biggest postseason flops in NHL history, if not the biggest. The last time we saw a President's Trophy winner lose in the first round was probably when the Lightning lost to Columbus when they were a big favorite and they got swept. But you could argue that this Bruins team had a better regular season than that Tampa team. And now you can make a case that the Bruins Stanley Cup championship window is closed. It's amazing how good you are in the regular season. It doesn't freaking matter in the playoffs. And the Bruins proved yet again. And now it feels like that season was wasted for them and that those records were wasted. This is a Boston team, so they're rightfully going to be crushed on all the talk shows on Monday. And the Bruins did win the President's Trophy in 2020, but that was a fake President's Trophy because it was the bubble, and they lost in the second round. So the last President's Trophy to lose in the first round was the 2019 Lightning. And the President's Trophy, the last President's Trophy to make the final, let alone win the Cup, was the 2013 Blackhawks, and that was a lockout year. And that Blackhawks team was so good. So I'm not going to say that President's Trophy was a fluke. But the last President's Trophy winner to make the Eastern Final was the 2015 Rangers. And they lost to Game 7 against the Lightning, who were probably the best team over the last decade. So the President's Trophy arguably is a curse. And the Bruins should be ashamed that they blew a 3-1 series lead to the Panthers. The Islanders. I think this was a very disappointing series for the New York Islanders. I really do. They had a golden opportunity to take advantage of Carolina's injury situation and go to the next round and play the winner of the Ranger Devil game and face on one of their rivals. But they blew it. They lost 2 games in overtime that they probably should have won, and then they win the series. They played very poorly in Game 4. They probably should have won Game 2. And they probably should have won Game 6. So those are 2 flip games that the Islanders should have won, and now they're going home. I'd say their season's a failure. I'm sorry. They had a lot of talent. They made that big trade for Bo Horvat, and you still can't get past the first round. Also, losing over the weekend was the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's another team whose season I'd say is a fail. You won the Eastern Conference the last 3 years, and you lose in the first round. This is not as big as a failure as the Bruins or even them losing to Columbus. But Boston losing really makes it worse for Tampa. Because then they would have opened the door for them to go to their 4th consecutive finals and really have had some history-making moments. So it's really not great if you are the Lightning. I wouldn't be shocked if there's change in that team as well as Boston. But is Tampa's window closed? I'm going to say the door's still cracked open. But it's going to close sooner rather than later. So we'll see what they do this offseason. Western Conference, the Minnesota Wild. They had an interesting year. Second year in a row they lost in the first round. Can't say their season was a success. I'd say that's a little bit of a slight failure that they didn't make it to the second round, considering they haven't been really able to get over the hump. So I wonder what could be next for them. Is Marc-Andre Fleury going to stick around? What other potential changes will this team make? That is another subplot for them. And I think the coach will come back, Dean Evason. He's done a nice job there, so I wouldn't make a coaching change. But I would not be shocked if John Cooper doesn't return to Tampa. There's been rumors about him leaving. Had they lost to the Rangers last year, maybe he would have walked away or gotten fired. But I think we got to keep an eye on John Cooper's job security, just like we are with Budenholzer in Milwaukee. Next is the Colorado Avalanche. You lost in the first round to an expansion team. That's a failure. You were a big favorite to win the series. I understand Cale Makar missed Game 5 and didn't have Gabe Landeskog, which was a huge loss for them, and that kind of crippled their depth. But you're still the reigning champions, and still at least should have made the conference finals with this group. So disappointing finish for the Avalanche. I think they're going to run it back. They just won the Cup last season, and they can say that they're getting Landeskog back. And they didn't have Makar for Game 5, which was a problem. We did the Winnipeg Jets already. And the last team we must discuss is the Los Angeles Kings. That's another team that I say his season wasn't successful. They didn't take that next step. They lost yet again in the first round to Edmonton. So I'd say their season was a slight failure. Weird goalie situation. What's next for Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar? Are they back? But you could argue that their window's still open, unlike Boston's, because they have some young talent that could end up making the next jumps. But I wouldn't be surprised if they took a step back and then took a couple steps forward the next year. So we'll see with the Kings, and I think the coach is safe as well, Todd McClellan. I think he's done a nice job in LA. All right, now move on to Major League Baseball. Sorry, that was a long time talking about hockey. We had a couple of postmortems to do. We'll go over the weekend's results and look ahead to the games being played today. All right, Friday, Twins over the Royals, 8-6. Marlins over the Cubs, 3-2. Blue Jays over the Mariners, 3-2. Braves over the Mets, 4-0 and 5. Guardians over the Red Sox, 5-2. Rays over the White Sox, 3-2. Brewers over the Angels, 2-1. Phils over the Astros, 3-1. Rangers over the Yankees, 5-2. D-backs over the Rockies, 9-1. Reds over the A's, 11-7. Dodgers over the Cards, 7-3. Orioles, Tigers, and Pirates, Nats both postponed. The makeup dates were Saturday. Doubleheader game 1, Tigers over the O's 7-4. Doubleheader game 1, Pirates over the Nats 6-3. Royals over the Twins 3-2. Blue Jays over the Mariners 1-0 in 10 on a walk-off single by Dalton Varsho. Marlins over the Cubs 7-6. Reds over the A's 3-2. Red Sox over the Guardians 8-7 and 10 on a walk-off single by Alex Verdugo. Phillies over the Astros 6-1. Orioles over the Tigers 6-4. Doubleheader game 2. Padres over the Giants 16-11 in Mexico. Pirates over the Nationals 16-1 in doubleheader game number 2. Rangers over the Yankees 2-0. Brewers over the Angels 7-5. Rays over the White Sox 12-3. D-backs over the Rockies 11-4. Dodgers over the Cardinals 1-0. Braves Mets postponed makeup date August 12th. And then yesterday, Marlins over the Cubs 4-3. Red Sox over the Guardians 7-1. Nats over the Pirates 7-2. Mariners over the Blue Jays 10-8 and 10. O's over the Tigers 5-3. Angels over the Brewers 3-0. Rangers over the Yankees 15-2. Twins over the Royals 8-2. White Sox over the Rays 12-9. Rockies over the D-backs 12-4. Padres over the Giants 6-4 in Mexico City. A's over the Reds 5-4. Dodgers over the Cards 6-3. Astros over the Phillies 4-3. And Braves Mets postponed makeup date today. All right. Today's slate is small. All right, 1 o'clock doubleheader game 1. Braves Mets, MLB Network, Spencer Strider, and Denier Reyes. Braves minus 30, Mets plus 190, over under 8.5. Overs minus 102, unders minus 120. Braves minus 1.5 is minus 146. Mets plus 1.5 is plus 122. Under 3 Met runs, minus 112. The Mets are going to be rusty after a couple of days off, I'd say. Doubleheader game 2 at 4 o'clock. Braves Mets, so it's a single admission doubleheader at Citi Field. Charlie Morton and Tyler McGill, this is the makeup game from yesterday. Braves are minus 118, Mets even money, over under 9, overs minus 102, unders minus 120. Braves minus 1.5 is plus 136, Mets plus 1.5 is minus 164. I'm going to take the Braves on the money line here at minus 118. 7 o'clock, Guardians, Yankees. Cal Quantrill, Domingo Germán. Boy, are the Yankees under some pressure here. They're minus 134 favorites. The Guardians are plus 116, over under 8.5. Overs minus 105, unders minus 115. Guardians plus 1.5 is minus 176. Yankees minus 1.5 is plus 146. I'm going to take the overs, full game over. Cubs, Nats. Drew Smyly and Mackenzie Gore. Cubs minus 134, Nats plus 114, over under 8.5. Overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Cubs minus 1.5 is plus 122. Nats plus 1.5 is minus 146. I like the Nats to win straight up at plus 114. I really like how Mackenzie Gore's pitching this year. Blue Jays, Red Sox. Jose Barrios, Corey Kluber. Blue Jays minus 152. Red Sox plus 128. Over under 10. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Toronto minus 1.5 is plus 104. Red Sox plus 1.5 is minus 125. Barrios is pitching a little bit better of late. I'm going to go over and half Red Sox runs at plus 104. 8 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, Giants, Astros. Ross Stripling and Luis Garcia. Astros minus 188. Giants plus 158. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 113. Unders minus 105. Giants plus 1.5 is minus 134. Astros minus 1.5 is plus 112. I'm going to take full game over here as well. 9:30 Reds Padres. Luke Weaver and Blake Snell. Padres minus 230. Reds plus 190. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Reds plus 1.5 is minus 102. Padres minus 1.5 is minus 118. Full game over for sure here, too. And 10 o'clock, you have the Phillies and the Dodgers. Taijuan Walker and Tony Gonsolin. Dodgers minus 172. Phillies plus 144. Over under 9. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. Phillies plus 1.5 is minus 140. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 116. For this one, I'm going to go under 3.5 Phillies total runs at even money. I don't like how the Phillies have looked. all season, pretty much. Even though they're now one game over 500. All right, now move on to soccer from the weekend. We'll go over all the results and look ahead to a busy day coming up. All right. MLS, Saturday. Nashville over Atlanta, 3-1. Miami over Columbus, 2-1. DC United over Charlotte, 3-0. New England, Cincinnati, 1-1 draw. Orlando over LA Galaxy, 2-0. Toronto over NYCFC, 2-1. Austin, San Jose, 1-1 draw. Chicago Red Bulls, 1-1 draw. CF Montreal over KC, 2-0. Portland over St. Louis, 2-1. Salt Lake Seattle, 0-0 draw. Vancouver, Colorado, 0-0 draw. And then yesterday, Minnesota, Dallas, 0-0 draw. All right, English Premier League, Saturday. Crystal Palace over West Ham, 4-3. Brentford over Nottingham Forest, 2-1. Brighton over Wolves, 6-0. And then yesterday, Bournemouth over Leeds, 4-1. Man City over Fulham, 2-1. Man United over Aston Villa, 1-0. Newcastle over Southampton, 3-1. Liverpool over Tottenham, 4-3. And then today at 3 o'clock, you have Leicester and Everton. Leicester's minus 105, Everton's plus 280, draws plus 250. Leicester's not played well lately. I'm going to take the draw plus 250. All right, Mexican Liga from the weekend. America over Juarez 1-0. Saturday, Puebla over Tijuana 5-2. Athletic San Luis and Atlas 0-0 draw. Guadalajara over Mazatlan 4-1. Monterrey over Yunnan 4-1. Cruz Azul over Santos 3-2. And then Sunday, Toluca over Necaxa 3-0. Pachuca over Querétaro 1-0. And León over Tigres 3-0. Then we have some games on Saturday. And we'll wait till then to pick them. All right, Women's Champions League. So Thursday, Barcelona-Chelsea 1-1 draw, but Barcelona advances 2-1 on aggregate. And then today, it's semifinals, 12 o'clock, second leg, tied on aggregate, Arsenal and Wolfsburg. Arsenal's plus 150, Wolfsburg's plus 150, draws plus 240. I'm going to go with Wolfsburg at plus 150 on the road. All right, La Liga from the weekend. Real Sociedad over Osasuna 2-0. Saturday, Elche over Rayo 4-0. Real Madrid over Almeria 4-2. Barcelona over Betis 4-0. Sunday, Cadiz over Valencia 2-1. Villarreal over Celta Vigo 3-1. Espanyol over Getafe 1-0. Atletico over Valladolid 5-2. All right, 1 o'clock, you have Mallorca and Athletic. Mallorca's plus 260, Athletic plus 125, draws plus 190. I like Athletic here on the road at plus 125. And at 3 o'clock, you have Sevilla and Girona. Sevilla's minus 115, Girona's 3-1, draws 250. I'm going to go with Sevilla at minus 115. All right, English League Championship Friday. Millwall over Blackpool 3-2. Saturday, Burnley over Bristol City 2-1. Coventry over Birmingham 2-1. Hull Swansea 1-1 draw. Reading Wigan 1-1 draw. Sheffield United over Preston 4-1. QPR over Stoke 1-0. Sunderland Watford 2-2 draw. West Brom over Norwich City 2-1. Sunday, Huddersfield over Cardiff 2-1. And then today, Rotherham over Borough 1-0. And then 12:30 today with Blackburn and Luton. So Blackburn's plus 115, Luton's plus 220, draws plus 240. I'm going to go with Luton on the road at plus 210. German Bundesliga. Friday, Bochum, Dortmund 1-1 draw. Saturday, Union Berlin, Leverkusen 0-0 draw. Frankfurt, Augsburg 1-1 draw. Freiburg over Cologne 1-0. RB Leipzig over Hoffenheim 1-0. Stuttgart over Gladbach 2-1. Schalke over Bremen 2-1. Sunday, Bayern over Hertha 2-0. Wolfsburg over Mainz 3-0. Next, we have Italian Serie A. Friday, Lecce over Udinese 1-0. Monza over Spezia 2-0. Saturday, AS Roma over Milan. That was 1-1 draw. And Atalanta over Torino 2-1. Sunday, Inter Milan over Lazio 3-1. Cremonese Verona 1-1 draw. Napoli Salernitana 1-1 draw. Sassuolo over Empoli 2-1. Fiorentina over Sampdoria 5-0. And then Bologna Juventus 1-1 draw. And then French League. Friday, Lyon over Strasbourg 2-1. Saturday, Lille over AC Ajaccio 3-0. And then Sunday, Montpellier over Monaco 4-0. Clermont over Reims 1-0. Rennes over Angers 4-2. Nice over Troyes 1-0. Lorient over PSG 3-1. And Marseille over Auxerre 2-1. And then I think, or no, we also had the NWSL from the weekend. Friday, North Carolina over Houston 1-0. Saturday, Louisville and OL Reign 2-2 draw. Chicago, Washington 1-1 draw. Orlando over San Diego 3-1. Portland, Angel City 3-3 draw. Sunday, Kansas City over Gotham 2-0. All right, so that's it for soccer. Now I'll move on to golf and go over the results from the Mexico Championship. And your winner with the score 24 under Tony Finau. That's who I almost picked, but the odds were too short, so I couldn't do it. Oh well. Second with 21 under, John Rahm. Third with 19 under, Brandon Wu. Fourth with 18 under, Ashkay Bahita. Tied for fifth with 16 under, Eric Cole, Emiliano Grillo, Austin Smotherman. Tied for eighth with 14 under, Cam Champ, Ben Taylor. Tied for 10th with 13 under, Beau Hossler, Patrick Rogers, Harry Hall, Joseph Burnlett, and Alejandro Tosti. Tied for 15th with 12 under, Dylan Wu, Cam Young, and Jimmy Walker. Tied for 18th with 11 under, Stefan Yeager, Mark Hubbard, Kevin Roy, Victor Norman, Grayson Sieg, Adam Long. Tied for 24th with 10 under, Sungwoo Kim, Wyndham Clark, Will Gordon, Adam Putnam, Francesco Molinari, and Kevin Chappell. Tied for 30th with 9 under, Taylor Pendrith, Wankel Kim, and Trevor Warblow. Tied for 33rd at 8 under, Nicholas Hojard, Bryce Cornett, Evan Van Rooyen, Ryan Moore, Ryan Gerard, and Ben Ganon. Tied for 39th with 7 under, Gary Woodland, Nate Lashley, Austin Cook, Scott Piercy, Jeff Algavi, Alex Baddeley, and Michael Glejic. Tied for 46 with 6 under, Ben Martin, Sangil No, and Richie Rensky. Tied for 49th with 5 under, Andrew Novak, James Holland, Cheservie, Du Zicheng, Sodi Kodiara, and Austin Eckler. Tied for 55th with 4 under, Jonathan Bird, Charlie Hoffman, Cody Gribble, where I leave off, Sebastian Vasquez and Yuan Yachun. Tied for 60th with 3 under. We're going to do notables now. Cam Piercy, Matt McNeely, Davis Lipsky, Estelanzo Goya. Tied for 66 with 2 under, Nicholas Echeverria. 69th with 1 under, Augusto Nunez. Among those cut, Kevin Sherman, Taylor Gainey, Kevin Westerling, Kelly Kraft, Pan Kazir, Luke Bliss, Grayson Chalmers, Matt Trainer, Doc Redmond, who was my pick, unfortunately, Lucas Glover, Grayson Higo, Scott Brown, Willis McGirt, J.B. Holmes, Camilo Vegas, Kevin Sway, Kyle Stanley, Scott Harrington, Matthias Schmid, DJ Trad, Martin Laird, Nate Wadney, Sean O'Hare, Tyson Alexander, Harrison Endicott, Doug Gim, Alex Loren, Matt Wallace, Matthias Schwab, Brent Grant, MJ Doffe, Robbie Shelton, Alex Smalley, Brian Stewart, Ben Creed, Callum Tarrant, Paul Haley, Chris Stroud, Hank Labiota, Grayson Murray, Ryan Moore, D.A. Points, Henrik Norlander, Grace McNeil, Peter Malnati, Max McGreevy, Dylan Fratelli, Kevin Stradler, my bad. And that's it among the notables. Next tournament is the Wells Fargo Championship, which will be this weekend from Quail Hollow Golf Course in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that should be a fun tournament. All right, now move on to NASCAR. We only have one race results to go over, and now it's Xfinity because Cup Series is going today at noon because it was washed out yesterday. Your winner of the A-Game 200, Ryan Truex, who was actually my pick, so the first time this season I get a NASCAR pick right. Although I did get Martin Truex right in the exhibition race at USC Stadium, but I didn't bet it. Coming in second, Josh Berry. Third, Justin Allgaier. Fourth, Austin Hill. Fifth, Jonathan Nemechek. Sixth, Sam Smith. Seventh, Cole Custer. Eighth, Brandon Jones. Ninth, Sam Meyer. 10th, Daniel Hemrick. The rest, Sheldon Creed, Kaz Gralla, Chandler Smith, Kyle Weatherman, Brett Moffitt, Ryan Seek, Parker Retzlaff, Jeff Burton, Jeremy Clements, Derek Krause, Riley Herbst, Joe Greff Jr., Josh Williams, Brennan Poole, Ryan Ellis, Roger Caruth, Greg Golding, Stephon Parsons, Kyle Sieg, Timmy Hill, Garrett Smithley, Chad Chastain, Patrick Emmerling, CJ McLaughlin, Corey Heim, Anthony Alfredo, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Parker Kligerman. And then the starting grid for Dover today: Kyle Busch, Chris Bell, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Chris Boucher, Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ricky Styles Jr., Chase Elliott, Eric Jones, Kevin Hartwick, Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, Ty Dillon, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, Eric Almirola, Austin Cindric, J.J. Yeley, B.J. McLeod, Josh Berry, Ty Gibbs, Justin Haley, Joey Logano, Corey LaJoie, Bubba Wallace, AJ Allmendinger, Ryan Preece, Harrison Burton, Michael McDowell, Noah Gragson, Brendan Poole, Ty Gilliland, and Austin Dillon. All right, now we will discuss last night's episode of American Idol. It was the top 12. It was Rock and Roll Hall of Fame night. The guest mentor was Adam Lambert. They did live results at the end of the show where they cut down to a top 10. All right. Tyson opened the show performing For Once in My Life by Stevie Wonder. He was outstanding. Second up, Warren performed House of the Rising Sun by The Animals. He was very good. Third went Haven Madison. She performed Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Wasn't a big fan of that performance. Four, Lucy Love performed All Night Long by Lionel Richie. Fifth, Oliver Steele, Georgia on My Mind by Ray Charles. Colin Stowg performed Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers Band. Mary Beth Bird performed Dancing Queen by ABBA. Then Adam Lambert did his performance live to his song I Can't Stand the Rain. Weani performed Something's Got a Hold on Me by Etta James. She was amazing. Nutsa performed The Show Must Go On by Queen. Megan performed Angel from Montgomery by Bonnie Raitt. That's Megan Danielle. Zachariah Smith performed Don't Bring Me Down by ELO. And last but not least, of course, Ian Tongi performed Bring It On Home to Me by Sam Cooke. The top 12. So before the show, I thought the two that were going to be eliminated were going to be Megan Danielle and Warren P. But I was wrong. Ironically enough, the two that got sent home were the two that the judges picked for the top 12 last week, in Nutsa and Lucy Love. So, it's just clear as day that the audience didn't respect them as much as the panel did. So, both are in the vacation mode, so no more Idol for those two. And they both had great runs. It's unfortunate that good singers are going to get to go home. And tonight's episode is the Judges' Song Contest. And we'll see if they eliminate more tonight. And the top 7 will be next Sunday. So I wonder if they're going to go down to 9 or 8 or 7. So I'm going to pick my top 7 for right now. And then my bottom 3, and my single bottom being most likely to go home in this episode if they go down if they eliminate 1, but if they eliminate 2, it'll be the bottom 2, and if they do announce the top 7 tonight, it'd be down to the bottom 3. All right. So as we know, Nutsa and Lucy voted out the last episode. So the contestant right now that I think could be in trouble is Oliver. Haven, I really don't think Living on a Prayer is her best performance, but I think her other performances have made up for it. So we'll see about her. Mary Beth Bird and Megan Danielle both really had outstanding performances. But I'm going to say Megan Danielle's finally eliminated. And I think Colin potentially goes home too. So most likely to go home, I'm going to say Oliver. Second most likely, Megan. Third most likely, Colin. And then in the top 7, Tyson, Ian, Wade, Warren, Mary Beth Bird, Haven, and Zachariah. So we'll see. And Tonight is the judges' song contest, so the judges pick a song. So I'm going to pick a song that I think fits each contestant as well. All right, Tyson. I would love for him to sing Elton John. I know, if I'm not mistaken, I think he may have sang Elton John already. But I really think that Pinball Wizard would be a great fit for Tyson. Ian Tongi. It's going to be interesting to see if he brings back that guitar after not having the guitar in the previous episode, but it looked like it didn't matter because he was so good. It's funny, I actually like the fit of him singing If I Was Your Man by Bruno Mars. So I really think that if I were a judge, I'd pick him to sing that song. Weani. She's a diva, and I absolutely love her. I would love for her to sing a ballad. And a different type of ballad for her, I feel like, would be a little bit of a country swang. I would like her to sing LeAnn Rimes' song Yesterday. Like, some strong notes in there. And I think that should fit that well. Warren P. This is too obvious. Broken Halo's Chris Stapleton. Like, come on. And I think there's a possibility he already sang Chris Stapleton, or that was Colin Stow. And then Mariah Faith sang it. Oliver sang it. And then Kyara sang it at one of the auditions. But I would love it if Warren sang Broken Halos by Chris Stapleton. And last year, by the way, each panelist picked the song for the contestant, and then the contestant picked one of the three. So I'm right now picking what I think's a fit for each contestant. Megan Danielle. She has a Miley twang to her. I would love for her to sing The Climb. I think The Climb fits her very well. Beautiful ballad. Colin. This is another interesting one. Doing a lot of ballads here. And Colin, I think Simple Man fits him very good. Obviously by Leonard Skinner. Mary Beth Bird. This is an interesting one. She's been having fun a lot. On the show lately. And I kind of like the song. What's that song called by Gretchen Wilson? Here for the Party. I really like the idea of her singing Gretchen Wilson. So that would be my song choice for her. Haven Madison. I just didn't love the Bon Jovi fit for her. That's why, she got away with that one because of her past performances. And if anybody deserves to get away with a subpar night, it's her. And then maybe Tyson and Tongi and Weani. But, Haven, that's going to be an interesting one to see where they go with her. And the rock and roll song that I think would have fit her better than Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer would have been I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. But I don't think they're going to make her do, rock again. But I want to see her. I like the cute side of her. And I can picture her singing Taylor Swift. And the song that jumps out to me is I'm stuck between two Taylor songs. You Belong With Me and Love Story. And I'm going to go with Love Story here. I think Love Story fits her well. And Zachariah. That's an interesting case. And there's a lot of songs that I think would fit Zachariah. And the one that I think would fit him, I want to see him perform Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell. I think that would just be fun watching him perform that song. And then Oliver Steele, he's more of a country guy too. But Warren's got to sing Chris Stapleton in my mind. Oliver sang Shania. He sang Ray Charles. He's done originals. He's done some 80s. So I think he has a wide variety. Oliver. So I know we saw a contestant do Lionel yesterday. So Oliver, this is a hard one. I could picture him doing a Luke song. And the one that I like for him is Drunk on You. So I'm going to say for the second episode in a row, we'll see a contestant do a song that is one of the judges' songs. I mean, who knows? Maybe we see one of the girls do a Katie song, for crying out loud. So there it is, my Madison's choices for the contestants. We'll see if one of the panelists or the judges agree with me. All right, news and notes. That was a long idle segment because I just wanted to do my song fits for the judges' choices. We'll start with hockey. Patrice Bergeron says he's going to take some time and give it some thought with family amid retirement rumors. Aaron Rodgers was at the Ranger game. That was pretty cool. And he was at the Knick game. We're going to do a draft recap show maybe tonight if we have time. If not tonight, then tomorrow morning. Now we're just going to go random. Astros and Rockies playing in Mexico as it's in next year's International Series, tentatively scheduled for Mexico City. Ryan Reynolds and the Remington Group are preparing bid for over $1 billion to buy the Ottawa Senators. Bryce Harper could return as the DH in the Phillies lineup against the Dodgers on Tuesday night. That would be something. The Yankees hope to decide by today if Aaron Judge will go on the IL due to the hip strain. I think he will, unfortunately. And we'll react to that on tomorrow's show if he indeed does. Jake Bauers to the injured list after crashing into the wall to make catch in the first inning. They called him up from AAA, and of course he gets hurt and is on the IL. Just story of the Yankees this season. Jacob deGrom to the injured list with forearm tightness will be reevaluated in coming days, of course. Nothing's changed with Jacob deGrom. Leaves the Mets and he still gets hurt a lot. Julio Rodriguez leaves Saturday's game with a back injury. That's not great. Bad beat for Charles Barkley, who picked the Kings to go to the Western Final. John Morant said off-court issues hurt the team, as he says his lack of discipline impacted the Memphis Grizzlies late in the year. Really sad news. Mike Budenholzer's brother passed away in a car crash during the Bucks Heat series. Thoughts and prayers go out to the Budenholzer family. A very, very rough time for Coach Bud. I mean, I feel sorry for him because of the passing of his brother. And obviously now that team is getting destroyed for losing to the Heat. And Giannis obviously had that "the season's not a failure" quote that had everybody talking. And Nike capitalized on that press conference. Kevin Durant joins Michael Jordan, and LeBron is the only NBA players to sign lifetime deals with Nike. The Celtics take shots at postponed Janet Jackson concert after a Game 6 win with an Outkast reference. That's funny. Jeff Teague talks about infamous Timberwolves practice that had Jimmy Butler yelling at the GM. And now said on a podcast. Shaq Barrett's 2-year-old daughter passed away after falling into the family swimming pool. That is very, very sad. Thoughts and prayers goes out to the Shaq Barrett's family. Jalen Brunson says he was horrific in the Knicks' loss against the Heat. Julius Randle did not play in Game 1, as Thibs was hopefully he'd start the series, but maybe he'll come back in Game 2. Quentin Grimes came back, though, against the Heat. And the big story is that Jimmy Butler rolled his ankle late in the fourth quarter of Game 1, so his status for Game 2 is up in the air. Doc Rivers says that Joel Embiid is doubtful for tonight's game against the Celtics with the grade 1 LCL sprain. Luke Kennard did not play in that Grizzlies closeout game. Dylan Brooks fined $25,000 for skipping interviews during the series against the Lakers. That's what happens when you trash talk. The Rockets want stars. James Harden, Jaylen Brown, and Chris Middleton among those Houston is targeting this offseason. And Jalen Green could be traded as the Rockets may be willing to deal young star to accelerate their return to playoff contention. My God. The Rockets are a freaking mess. Who do they think they are? I mean, if they get Wembanyama, that's a different story. Heck, if they even get Scoot, it's a different story. But the Rockets are rebuilding. They're out of their freaking minds. Trey Lance cleared the play as Mike Shanahan wants to add a fourth quarterback this offseason despite Lance being on pace to return. Will Levis won't need toe surgery as he said he feels great after a report injury caused draft slide. DeAndre Swift requested a trade and the Eagles pick him up. So that's a big trade for the Eagles as he wanted out in response to the team drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. The Broncos acquire Adam Troutman from the New Orleans Saints. I think that is a wonderful trade for the Denver Broncos. Jerry Jones says the Cowboys might still sign Zeke as the ship hasn't sailed on making a new contract with him. DeAndre Hopkins trade unlikely as the GM says, I don't foresee that happening. Potentially moving star before the end of the draft, which they didn't. Sam Darnold could start week 1 as other teams view Sam Darnold deal as a sneaky, significant signing who could thrive with the Niners. So Tank Dell slid in the Texans GM as he shot a shot in last December and then he was picked by them. So talk about irony. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. It was a long show today. I apologize about that. Like I said, we're going to do draft recap probably on tomorrow's show. So a lot of interesting choices on the table for best bet. And I'm going to lay a unit on my pick. And the one that jumped out the most, there's 2 over 8.5 that I like. The Giants Astros over and the Reds Padres over. And the one that I like better is the Reds Padres over. So I'm going to lay a whole unit on it. Over 8.5. Between the Reds and the Padres. All right, so that's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything and look ahead to everything tomorrow as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.